Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, and today I want to share my impressions of the changes that DICE have made to the TOR Railgun tank. As many of you will know, this particular vehicle has always been pretty controversial. It's sort of like Marmite, you either love it or you hate it. But DICE have recently implemented some brand new weapons to give us a few different flavors of gameplay to choose from. I think a lot of these changes weren't really on people's radars, and they have largely seen update 6.1 as the Dark Protocol event with the kill switch game mode, and that's about it. But quite frankly, the TOR feels like a completely different beast now, and you really don't want to miss out on this. Before we get started guys, if you do enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We are coming up on 49,000 subscribers, so any support in that regard is always appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Now before we get stuck into the meat and bones of the video, it is Tuesday today, which means it's the beginning of the 5th week of Season 6 and the 2nd and last week of Dark Protocol and the Kill Switch game mode. Now yesterday whilst on stream, it suddenly hit me that what that means is we have 11 weeks of Season 6 left without any real content planned, or at least none that has been announced yet. Now generally speaking, the mid-season event is exactly then, it's in the middle of the season, but this time around, it's come and gone quicker than usual to tie in with Halloween. Meanwhile, in past seasons, we've typically seen DICE break up the season by adding in one of the rework maps from the base game as well as a bunch of vault weapons from Portal to help flesh out the weapon pool. But this time around, neither of those things are going to be happening. Now that being said, I'm sure we'll be getting an update 6.2 and probably an update 6.3 as well, maybe even a 6.4 that will contain some nice quality of life changes and some tweaks to the balance. In fact, if we go by DICE's bi-weekly patch release schedule, you probably won't see anything this week since they released 6.1 last week, and so I think we're in for a bit of a quiet one for this week, and then next week we'll probably see some kind of patch. However, whilst those updates are appreciated, that's not exactly content. And what's worse is that we don't even know, after these 11 weeks are up, whether we'll even see a Season 7 or not. DICE now have a bunch of new players jumping into Battlefield 2042 every single day, and personally, I would like to hear a bit more on what they have planned for the future. Maybe do a content release plan, or simply announce the fact that Season 7 and 8 are in the works if that is indeed the case. Especially after we saw them can Battlefield 5 just as it was getting good, I think a lot of players are worrying that Battlefield 2042 will meet the same fate, and rightfully so, and for all I know, they could be correct, so, come on DICE, prove us wrong and put our minds at rest. Now, as previously mentioned, the TOR Railgun tank has seen some pretty sweeping changes with the goal of making this tank more aggressive. Two of the biggest problems with the tank was that it was far too powerful as a siege weapon, camping practically in the spawn and one-shotting vehicles across the map, and the other was that it didn't really feel viable to be used in any other meaningful way. Now the former of these problems was addressed some time ago with DICE nerfing the effective range of the powerful maul cannon, and the latter has just been addressed here in update 6.1. So what they've done is they've added a bunch of weapons for the gunner seat. So outside of the LMG and the HMG that we had before, you now have a 40mm grenade launcher, a minigun, or the brand new 20mm canister shotgun, which acts pretty similar to the 40mm canister shotgun that is on the Cav Brawler. But the big one here for me is the brand new coaxial canister weapon that you can take as the driver. So this one also acts similar to the Cav Brawler, only obviously first of all you have it as the driver and not as a gunner, and the rate of fire and the replenishment rate is way faster, and it can one-shot people from some pretty impressive ranges. And I'm sure you guys have been seeing some pretty good evidence of that in the background footage. So honestly, if you don't have this one unlocked yet, I really recommend doing so. Not only that, but they've also increased the turret turn speed, which allows you to keep an eye on your 6 a little bit better and play somewhat more aggressively. Now I think overall, this is my new favorite tank in the entire game. With this new way to combat infantry, the TOR tank now has a great turret turn speed. It's extremely fast and maneuverable when it's not in siege mode. Its railgun can two-shot most enemy armored targets, and it goes straight through APS. So, you know, if you see an enemy tank, he is never going to win you in a 1v1. In fact, I honestly think the railgun going through APS might be a little overpowered. You know, with the TOR now being so aggressive, it really does mean curtains for that tank if you catch him off guard. Furthermore, you can still use this vehicle as a siege vehicle. So if you find a tank, you know, way off in the distance and there are no enemies around, you can just pop siege mode and get a quick 2-tap on him. Even without siege mode, the Maul cannon can still be used to great effect once you get used to it to take down aircraft as well. Now, whilst this new canister shot is extremely powerful and maybe the one-shot range of it should even be reined in a little bit, I do think it's offset by some of the TOR's weaknesses. So firstly, unlike the main battle tank cannons, the TOR's railgun is pretty much useless against infantry. If you find yourself playing aggressively, pushing an objective, and there are mostly infantry around, well, a regular main battle tank is going to make use of both their main cannon and the coaxial HMG. And I honestly think that they can kill those infantry faster than the TOR can, despite the crazy power that this canister shotgun has here. So, you know, if the TOR's coaxial weapon here isn't good enough, that just means you would die far too quickly and far too easily. I think the main battle tank, you know, their cannon is like a jack of all trades, right? It can do damage to helicopters, it can do damage to tanks, infantry, you can knock down walls from it, you can blow up houses with it and see the infantry behind there and sort of flush them out. You can't do all of those things with the TOR tank's singular weapon. You have to switch weapons and each one of them has a different role. That being said though, the TOR tank is a far better vehicle destroyer than the main battle tanks. It definitely outclasses every other tank in the game, as I've said, in a tank on tank battle. It's also the best vehicle in the game for taking down aircraft, even without entering siege mode. Yes, the charge up time is fairly lengthy, but the thing is that you can sort of spam it, and if you get used to it, clicking your mouse or pulling the trigger and getting it very, very close to firing the shot, and you never have to really commit to doing it, right? So you can sort of wait and see, okay, is the aircraft going to line up exactly where I'm shooting when the shot has fully charged and I'm ready to fire? And if that isn't the case, well, guess what? You can just save your shot. However, with the main battle tanks, you don't get that same grace period. You just have to fire your shot and hope for the best. That's what she said. Now, there is another really big weakness of the TOR, and that is that they have pretty heavily nerfed the distance at which it can aim up and down. So you will find it frustrating in a lot of situations because, of course, this new canister shotgun is tied to your main railgun, where you have an infantry soldier who's just like a little bit above you or a little bit below where you can aim, and you can't quite get the shot on there. So having a gunner and somebody who can actually back you up can stop you from getting C5'd from those annoying McKays and Sundances is absolutely paramount to doing well in this vehicle. In fact, when I play here all by myself, I don't find myself being anywhere near as successful as when I have a gunner to play with, even if we're not communicating. But overall here, I'd say DICE has done a pretty good job. They have definitely succeeded in getting the TOR out of its niche of being a vehicle that people will just camp in. In fact, I see people using the vehicle, pushing flags, going after infantry, using it in ways I never dreamt it could be used for. Balance-wise here, I think they may need to revisit this. I think specifically the TOR's railgun going through APS, it needs to be addressed. I don't really see any reason why it should go through APS. I mean, yes, of course, it's more realistic, but in terms of balance and gameplay, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. APS is that ability that like most of the armored vehicles in the game have. It's sort of like your win all rock paper scissors, and if one of the vehicles has it and the other one doesn't, or at least it's rendered obsolete, then it just completely throws the balance of the entire armor versus armor game out of whack, in my opinion. Similarly, I think they maybe need to look into the canister shot. I think it definitely should one-shot infantry, even though I'm not the biggest fan of one-shot mechanics in the game because it doesn't give you any chance to react at all, but it is a shotgun at the end of the day, so maybe they need to nerf the rate of fire or the replenishment rate, or maybe best of all just rein in the range of it a little bit so it only one-shots at very, very close ranges. In any case, guys, leave me your thoughts down below. What do you think of the TOR tank? Do you like the changes? Do you not like them? Do you think it's too overpowered now? Or do you think it's underpowered? Leave me all of that down below. Otherwise, you can also hit me up on my stream over on Twitch. We are streaming 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you are most welcome to come and have a chat to me there. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching the video today. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time.